Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of our transformative professional development program on ICH GCP E6 Revision 3 Skill Development, Biomedical Ethics, and ICMR Clinical Trial Guidelines. I am Pallavi Busa, your host for today's webinar. Thrilled to guide you through this immersive week. The energy is still buzzing from Dr. Shenoy's insightful delivery, and we are ready to delve deeper. Tonight, we are incredibly fortunate to host Ms. Sarabjit Sidhu, the Distinguished Manager of Clinical Trial Transparency at GSK Pharma, and our esteemed industry expert whose 14-year career is a testament to her profound expertise in clinical research and medical writing. Ms. Sarabjit's journey includes critical roles at the World Health Organization in clinical operations and a dedicated focus on medical writing at CANAPS. Beyond her immersive professional trajectory, Ms. Sarabjit Sidhu is also a published author with 2 books to her name, one on medical writing and the other on clinical research. She will take us on a fascinating journey through the history and origin of ethical principles in clinical research and then skillfully navigate the landscape of ICH history, purpose, principles, and guidelines. Prepare to gain invaluable perspective from someone who lives and breathes clinical trials. Please join me in giving a hearty welcome to Ms. Sarabjit Sidhu. Ma'am, the virtual floor is all yours.
Hi, thank you so much for a lovely introduction. I look forward for an engaging session. So I'll turn off my camera because I will be working from my handheld device, right? So in some time, I'll share my screen and I look forward for open discussion at the end. Please note down your questions, queries, or you can just put your questions in chat box. And
Yes,
yeah. So one more thing, something what happened because of internet or technology, you may lose me somewhere. Sometime Wi-Fi issue would happen. I will only request, I won't be able to know. You can just unmute yourself and can just let me know, so that there is a trouble or something like that, or slides goes away, And if anything happens, just unmute yourself and let me know that there is a issue or concern. Okay, so let's start. So let me start sharing my screen. Do let me know once you are able to see. I hope you are able to see the slides.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Anyone? Let me put a mic as well for a better voice. Yes. Are you able to hear me? After this, I will put it on a full screen.
Yes, ma'am. The screen is visible and you're audible.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much, first of all, joining and coming for this session. It's like honor to be part of a GCP training, and today we will be discussing like a background, what led to the development of your GCP, which we are seeing today. Right, that is what we are discussing, and whole thing is very interesting as well, because just like a story, there is no pressure on this. Just read it as a story. So you can also follow me on LinkedIn if you want. This is my LinkedIn account with my name only, Sarabjit Sidhu. So let's start. Now, little about clinical research. When you see about a clinical, so word clinical means that a human element is involved. So that is the only thing making it a different from other research, right? So the word human is that there is a one human element is involved. Our actions are impacting directly some life, right? So that's the main thing, which is it is separating this field from other research, and that is the reason we have so many guidelines plus regulation. So this is a fundamental, right? So this is the reason we having so much eyes on us also, when we are doing some clinical trials. Now in clinical research, as of now, if you want to find some drug, some vaccine, any treatment, the only way to find out is a clinical research. As of now, we don't have an alternate. But in a clinical trial, we have to answer two important questions. One is safety, right? That is this drug, is this treatment is safe? That is one question we answer. Question number two we are answering in a clinical trials is that is this medicine working? Will it help me with my challenge or a problem? Will it treat me? So if you recall your everyday life, just take a pause for a moment. When we visit any doctor, when we visit any hospital, what we ask them, is this pill working? When I will get better? Or if I wanted to put it in an everyday language, I'll say that when I will get better. That means efficacy. Is it working? Second, you always ask, 99% of the people ask doctor, is it safe? Can I take it? I have other problems. Is it okay for me? Right? So that's how you can relate it, that this is what we try to find in our clinical trials. So now clinical research is a different friend than your practice. Sometimes people confuse it. So practice is so in clinical research, what drugs you discover, in practice, they give it to the people, right? So clinical research is always about a discovery, invention, and practice is you are using it in your practice, what has been discovered. Okay, so clinical research refers to everything. It's your device, drug, biologics. It's not like only limited to drug. Anything which we are using for a treatment counts or fall under clinical research. Now, why GCP? So, because that is our fundamental, right? So, if you look back, go not many, just 30 years back, there was two things happening in different part of the world. That if America want to discover some drug, they were doing their own trial. If Japan want to do, they were doing on their trial. If Europe want to do, they were doing all their trial. So now they said, like, why not we having some international quality standards, so that even if I'm doing a trial in India, my data from that trial get accepted by FDA. That is an agreement, right? Now, it is an ethical as well as scientific quality standard. Ethical is it should be in favor of a human life. It should be needed by society. So this is the question when we are planning a research. We have to evaluate. Is it in a favor of society? Is it helping people in some or other way? If not, then research is not required. Or another aspect is we are not putting people on a harm. So we will learn about all these incidents. And second is whatever research you are doing, it is of a quality research. The data, especially the values that you are generating from your trial, they are trustworthy. Integrity of the data is there. So they harmonized, they came together, they said like, okay, let's harmonize the technical standards for the research. So even FDA endorsed it on 1997. If you have learned is that Japan, Europe and America, they came together, not only their regulatory bodies, understanding is this, not only their regulatory bodies, plus pharma as well. Pharma companies of these three reasons, because now I also give you another aspect. Regulatory means they are making a law. Suppose new drug rules in India, you will be learning in this session, they don't make by themselves. They have to consult with pharma, because they are making a rule. Ultimately, who's going to execute it? The pharma companies, right? So they always consult them. Main idea is we have to protect the right safety well-being of the subject. So the whole goal of GCP is that to protect the patient. So that is the reason GCP is there. Now, what rule and regulation we are having today? They are not, they don't came into existence like this. The lot goes in the background. If you see, clinical research is a fairly a new field. It's not a very old field. It has developed in last, you can say, 70 years only. So very fairly a new field. Just give me a moment to adjust one thing. This is better. So what happened? There are certain events happened in the history, and because of those events, our regulations came in. The important landmark, we will be talking about the landmark events, right? The one is sulfonamide tragedy. It is because of this your Food Drug Cosmetic Act came in. We will learn about it in our coming slide. Number two is Nazi's trial that done in the World War II, these trials, right? Because they were military trials. Because of that, Nuremberg Code came in. And do you remember how the today's ICF, we always call it informed consent form? The reason is to linked back to Nuremberg Code. Thalidomide tragedy. Harris Amendment came because of that. Syphilis trial, National Research Act came in because of this. Now, if you know, in the modern world, ethics committee or IRB in the US, it is known as a IRB, Institutional Review Board, and mostly in our country, in our part, it is known as ethics committee. It came because of national act. So we have to link it everything, that how today's modern documents or the regulations or guidelines came into existence because of the tragedies. Thalidomide tragedy, in a way, it has given a birth to a pharmacovigilance, which in itself is a altogether a separate big function in a clinical trial, right? So we will learn about each other one by one. So if there is a question, you can pause me, no problem there, right? But today's session is very light and it's very interesting as well. So I don't expect lot many doubts. So Food Drug Cosmetic Act, we said that there was a tragedy, sulfonamide tragedy that happened. That was a catalyst event in a way, right? So sulfonamide was a drug. It was very good drug used to treat a streptococcal infection, bacterial infection, and very safe, easygoing. And in the tablet form and a powder form, it was available at that time, right? You can, later Google it as well, and then can learn more about it as well. However, what happened? There was a salesperson in 1937. He said that there is a demand in the market for a liquid form, right? So what chemist did, okay, powder form is very well available, powder is very well available. He added the solvent to make it liquid, because there is a demand in the form of a liquid. Where went they wrong? Because the guidelines were not strong. They added the solvent diethylene glycol, which is antifreeze agent, and it has a very deadly effect on the kidney. So in this whole picture, unintentionally, it may have happened unintentionally, but it happened that they didn't test the solvent. Today's world, it is not like this. You have to test. If you are changing a formulation, you have to prove it, not only test, you have to prove it that this is safe. So this liquid form went into the market, and the physicians, they given it to the patient and everything. 107 people died, and mostly children. By the time company sent the note that please recall this formulation from the market, already damage was done. So because of this, in 1938, the Congress at that time in the US, they passed the act. They now said pre-marketing approval of a new drug for a safety. So they said if even you are changing a formulation, you have to take approval before you can send it to market. So that is the change has happened. Not only that, in today's world, you have seen that inspection is such a big word, right? They strengthened the powers of a FDA, and they said, now you are free. You have an authority to inspect any drug manufacturing plant. So now these days, inspection to any manufacturing plant, any place is such a big thing, right? They give a warning letter and everything, but it's linked to this date when the tragedy happened. So in a clinical research, you can say we are learning from our mistakes. So we are learning from our mistakes. Now next is, so one is covered, that is Sulfinamed tragedy. Second is Nuremberg Code. So if you are going for any interview, if you are going for any important discussion, this is unavoidable. This is quite important. People ask, I know when I went to this, my first interview at the WHO, they asked me about, do you know about the Nuremberg Code? So what happened is a catalyst event was Nazi's physician trial. So now these were more a military experiment. They were not done with the intention to help society or public. They were more to help the army, or you can say the military, to support them, right? So this was never their goal. Their goal was like this: how they can make their army more stronger. These are series of experiment. They done on the prisoners. What type of experimentation they done? They select how long a person can survive on a low air pressure, or if you don't give them an oxygen, how long they can survive. And they done this, they were taking the readings of all this, like, okay, half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, freeze, like minus temperature or you sub-zero temperature, exposing people without clothes to this temperature to understand that how long person can survive. And then one of their theory was that our race is superior, the injection to their eyes to change the color, or an injection to with poisons or germs. They were creating artificial injuries to understand the things, right? Or a removal of organs without any anesthesia. So basically, anything which was coming there in their mind, they were doing. It was not in favor of society, not in favor of a science. So neither was helping society nor was science. So these are few pictures. You can also see, this is these are all available in the Google, freezing experimentation that they are doing. See, these are actual physicians, so they were violating their oath as well, because every doctor, they take oath when they become doctor, right? Seawater experiment, even exposing to a person to a high altitude. So on high altitude, when they used to expose to a person, basically in some time they were dying, because when the pressure is too high, then blood start coming through nose, ears, and all that, right? Very, very painful death. So once the World War II it closed, then there was a trial on the Nazi doctors. It was also known as a Nazi doctors trial. So there was a defense, American judges, the prosecutions. So one of the key, you can say that thing is that when they were doing these experiment, they didn't realize that this is wrong. They even published papers, proper papers in journals they published. So these are available till date. So all this is documented, like person will die in a 3 hour or a 4 hour, and all this is properly documented. What will happen on a high altitude? What will happen if person goes without sleep? All that is documented, and they published these results. Because of this, once this all happened, they were sentenced. So what were the key highlights? Nuremberg Code came. So when their prosecutions are going on, the prisoners on which they were doing experiment, they were not consented. Consented means they were not informed. They were not informed that, okay, we are doing experiment or research on you. Or they didn't voluntarily agree to participate. They forced basically. Nuremberg trial that was run from December 1946 to August, and 15 out of 23 defendants they found guilty. So now, what are the key highlights of Nuremberg Code? Because this was something inhuman happened in the history, right? No one wanted this to happen. So one is, they said, voluntarily consent. It is the choice of a person if they wanted to participate or not. Not only choice, at any time they can say no. It's okay. And the another important feature, they said that anticipate the scientific benefit. So the benefit should be much, much more than your risk. And this they should be very sure before starting experiment. We will learn about the 13 GCP principle. One of principle is scientifically sound protocol. That means your research should be based on a science. With the available information, with the available literature, you should know by sure that this is favoring a society, this is favoring a people. Now you see, if you see this, any of this experiment, high altitude experiment, is it in any way it is helping a person or a society? The answer is big no. In fact, this is an inhuman experiment. You can't do it at all. So this is the reason they have made it a principle that scientifically sound experiment. Okay, what are the other features? Animal research. The fourth is animal research should be there, so that you should be having already an idea what will happen in any biological sample, basically biological environment, instead of exposing directly human. So they are saying that some animal experiment should be there. Another is there should not be any suffering. If there is any suffering in today's world also, if there is some SAE or ADR, which is serious, right? That means stop your track. No intentional death, disability. If under any circumstance there is a even slightest clue that because of the drug, because of this experimentation, person may die, there is a guideline. We will learn in the responsibilities of sponsor also. Stop the trial. Protection from harm. If the investigator is feeling that it may harm a patient, they have to stop it instantly. Subject is free to stop at any time without giving any explanation. We will dedicatedly study informed consent form. I think next Friday. Yeah. Qualified investigator, whosoever is doing a trial, whosoever is doing a research, should be qualified. Investigator will stop if there is a harm. Investigator has the power to stop the trial if they are seeing, they are anticipating there may be potentially harm. Now another is a thalidomide tragedy. This also happened. This was not done by someone inhumanly, but this happened because drug was given um, to mothers before approval. It was not approved. There is a little story also. There was an Australian doctor. Uh, Under his observation, what he found that all the mothers who are taking thalidomide, the birth defects in their kids are higher than by 15 to 20%. Generally, birth rate defect is like 1.5 or 2%. Mothers who are taking thalidomide, it is up till 15% or 20%. And he published a paper. Then everything came into light. So thalidomide drug, it is still in use, but lot of cautions are there, not for mothers, but for other reasons, used to eliminate morning sickness in the first trimester of pregnancy. But the problem came in, this was not test approved. There was not enough proof, and it has a bad effect on the fetus. It was causing a birth defect. The babies are born, they were deformed or either lipless. See, someone is not having leg or arm, or see, or some even having issues with their internal organs. Problem is that mothers are not informed that it is an experimental drug. No informed consent was taken. It was taken in Europe. In US, still some people took it. It was not approved there. They are also neither there, but here more people took it in Europe rather than in US. So then Harris Amendment came. It clearly said that, which is in today's world, efficacy and safety must be demonstrated before the drug is in market. Today, if you go to clinicaltrial.gov, you will see if the trial is not specifically for mothers, pregnant ladies or expecting couples, there is a clear-cut indication. If you are planning for a baby and if you are pregnant, do not participate in a clinical trial, right? So all this because of these tragedies that happened in the past. So first US law requiring researchers to inform that it is an experimental drug. They also have to take a consent before starting the research. The most important is that today, when they give a license to a drug, after this is the journey, like if you know that preclinical, then your phase one, then your IND, then phase one, then phase two, then phase three, then your NDA. So this NDA is here. You have to prove efficacy plus safety before you sell your product in the market, right? So sorry for spelling. So this is how today. At that time, it is not there. So this is the hurdle here, that you have to take a approval from a government body. If you wanted to sell in India, take approval from DCJ. If you wanted to sell in US, take approval from FDA. If you wanted to take a sell in the Europe, take a approval from EMA. And if you wanted to sell everywhere, take approval from all of them. So earlier it was not there. Now, Declaration of Helsinki, very, very important, by World Medical Association. They even given you define the rules of a therapeutic and non-therapeutic research, your observationals and interventional. Required consent. And they also given you this legal guardian can give a permission to enroll a subject in a research. Suppose that we are talking about the children, infant, unconscious patient, they're legal person. They can give the consent on their behalf. Now, for Declaration of Helsinki, why I intentionally included here, last year it got revised. And I will kindly request you all guys, if you have 5 minutes of a time today, just go to, if not to Google, ChatGPT. Tell them, give me the crux of latest revision of a Declaration of Helsinki. Very, very important, because all the document we write, protocol, your CSR, see on the first title page, you only write as per the Declaration of Helsinki, as per the GCP. So These are so important. Give it little more time. But I can cover where they are focusing now. First of all, they are saying increase protection for a vulnerable population. Now, the definition of a vulnerable population is different from country to country, society to society, right? So they are saying pay more attention there. Now, number two is this is burning topic in today's world is transparency of a clinical trial. They are saying no matter what research you are doing, if you are following the latest news, now they are saying FDA also said that our response letter will be fully public now. People are objecting it, but they said it will be fully public. This is coming from here. Response letter is when they approve any drug, they always have to give a reason why we approved it or why we not approved it. If they're saying yes or no, either way, they said it will be public now. So transparency coming back, if you're doing any research at the start, you have to post it publicly. And the result also, post it publicly. Not only that, they are stopping here. They are saying patient level data. Please disclose. If from you someone is really interested in advanced level of research, this is very important for you. You can ask any pharma company to give you the patient level data, right? Because of this transparency clause. Now, even they are saying lay person summaries. See this result, always very technical. How about a patient? How they can understand this? Explain in a simple language. Layperson summaries becoming a big thing in today's world, and hence our jobs. There are so many jobs they are getting created in our transparency. Okay, stronger commitment and fairness and equity in a research. It's not like you are doing a research in a poor parts of the world and giving a benefit to the richer. Not like that. Another important feature, emerging technology. They are saying use IT. And how you are protecting cyber attacks. That's also they are saying. They are saying if you are using AI, how you are ensuring patient privacy and confidentiality is protected. Right? So they are giving a guidance on a emerging technology. So now, if you see when you will be working in the actual clinical trial, almost 100% work is electronically. Your TMF is also electronic. Your CRFs are also electronic. You don't even print a one paper, you know. But at the same time, they need to make sure their systems are secure. It's not like that. I mean, I forget the news. I think it is 2023. They are saying, they said in India, because of the medical devices, there is a lot of chances for cyber attack, like watches we are using, other, your pacemaker and other thing. Yeah, they even given a names of hospitals like AIMS, Subdurjan, the leading ones, like, their data is getting leaked. Then I guess government of India also passed a law on that as well. So a lot goes in this research in this space, but the backstory is this: all they are paying attention here. Even your GCP, I will explain you in our next session. National Research Act, it came into existence because of a syphilis study. It came into existence because of a syphilis study. Now, this was also a story in itself. Now, you see the word national because it was done in the government hospital. We always say things are happening in India, but in other parts of the world also the major things are happening and has happened. This is longest non-therapeutic experiment. Non-therapeutic experiment is no treatment was given. No treatment in a medical history. It gone up to 40 years. Can you imagine? This is sponsored. The worst part is, see, look at this. It was supported by, you can say, sponsored by US Public Health Services, now known as a CDC. Just like that, our ICMR sponsors some research like that. It is conducted in Tuskegee Institute. That's why it is known as a Tuskegee syphilis trial. So just few pictures, maybe not very comfortable view of that. It is happened in Tuskegee. They were taking, here is like they are testing a blood of African person. They are taking swabs, right? So what really happened in this trial, this was originally planned to assess what health effect has occurred, basically to understand the disease, understand the syphilis, because no treatment was available at that time. When they started the experiment, at that time there was no intention to deny anyone a treatment in the long term basis. So basically, when they were planning a research, they said, we just wanted to understand the disease, because unless you don't understand any disease, you can't bring a treatment or a diagnostic anything, right? But where things really went wrong, they enrolled 400 African men, matched 200 uninfected control. So basically 400 people, 200 in one group, 200 in one group. So one is control. Control means they were healthy, they were doing okay. But these 200, they were having this syphilis disease, right? So, and they were taking blood samples, other samples from them time to time. And problem went also was that these people, these 200, they were not informed that you are having a disease. They just told you have a bad blood and we are giving you a treatment. So basically they were misled. Huh? And neither they were informed that it is a research. Now, the more problem started is that this experiment, it started in 1932. It started 43, after 11 years, the penicillin, which is acceptable treatment for syphilis, it was available. And more than that, in 51, when penicillin was globally famous, still it was not given to subject. Subjects were never given a choice about continuing once penicillin was available. Now, in today's world, suppose there is a research, and during that research, new drug is available. You have to inform all the patient again that this is available. Do you want to discontinue and go there? It's your choice. 1972 study was exposed by some journalist and it became a public outcry. See, 1932 to 1972, 40 long years. Can you imagine the suffering? Finally, 73 study stopped. And 1997, even a President Clinton, he apologized to the living families and their relatives. Many people died. This is just a, text from that time speech. You can read it if like, So it was a big thing at that time. This was speech was given in 1997. So on behalf of whole America, he apologized at that time. In fact, I guess they even invited them to White House for a dinner or something like that. And National Research Act 1997, 74 it came. It is the direct result of a syphilis trial. Now, if you take a pause, now in today's world, if suppose you are just take, because AIMS, I'm taking example of AIMS because everyone knows it. if there is in one cardio unit of AIMS, some research is going, it will be overseen by ethics committee. Just imagine at that time, if the Tuskegee Institute, if they were having ethics committee, they may have overseen it. The ethics committees mainly safeguard the public. But at that time, there was nothing like that. Because of this, there was a birth of ethics committee. Now, it required a regulation for protection of a human subject. They said, this can't happen again. This is unacceptable, right? Now, it required institutional review board for all federally funded studies. Informed consent, again given a stress on informed consent. Created a national commission for the protection of human subject in a biomedical and behavior research. In India also, you are having a guideline from a ICMR. But all this is because of these tragedies. Now, there is another important piece of information is a Balmet report I'm giving you. It is written by National Commission. This is also ethical framework, protect the human lives in a research. So for Belmont report, if you wanted to remember the three things in mind, that is, first is respect for a person. That if someone is coming and participating in your research, you have to give them a respect. Respect means what? You have to translate it in a at many further levels. Suppose if you're not giving a person 100% correct information, that means you are not respecting that person. If you are lying a person, that means you are not respecting a person. If you are not valuing their yes or no, that means you are not respecting a person, right? So respect for a person goes to this level in your clinical trial. Beneficence, they're saying there should be benefit of the research. Benefit to society, benefit to science, benefit to a person. Justice, fairness, like it's not like you keep on selecting the poor or one part of the world for a research and giving a medicine to the whole. Fairness should be there, right? So now with this, our ethical background is over. Now I'll take 2 minute pause. If there is some question, or or you can paste your questions in chat box, that's also lovely. But we will try to understand 13 GCP principles. Now, maybe you are an investigator, maybe you are a monitor, maybe you are just a CRC, maybe you are a CRA, maybe you are a CDM professional or a SAS professional. No matter what you do, you are maybe a BP in some company, you wanted to design your SOPs, protocol. Your reference point is this. I will explain you in a practical way also. I'm just taking 1 minute pause, so then we will start again. The principle, I will explain you now. We have 2 more slides to go, right? First is ethics. That is totally we are following Declaration of Helsinki and GCP. Simple. Then your risk benefit profile. Now, the risk benefit profile, we have a whole dedicated field of pharmacovigilance. Even when you are doing your trial, safety, you are tracking your serious adverse event, you are tracking your adverse event, you are tracking your ADRs, right? That is, you are always evaluating risk and benefit. Subject protection, you are giving a treatment to them. If something is going wrong, you are paying attention. Adequate data should be available before you start your trial. Very interesting. Preclinical studies, right? Protocol, is your plan solid? Informed consent form. If patient is saying no, then it's okay. Qualified staff. So now, when even you are in actual job, so you started doing your job, right? CRC, CRA, even a physician, even maybe a quality control associate, you have to do the GCP training almost every year. If not every year, at least once in 2 years. And then qualified staff, they say qualification by training, experience, and education. These are the three things they are using. Medical care, so there should be a qualified person. Hmm? Ethics committee approval, record keeping, confidentiality. I will explain you these furthermore. Investigational product should be manufactured as per GMP, good manufacturing practices, quality assurance. That is your audit. Always remember the practical examples and the monitoring. How you will ensure the quality? You are doing audit, that will let you know that how is the quality. Second is a monitoring, which is 100% verification of a data, right? This space is also evolving a lot. These 13 principles, are unavoidable. So you are writing some SOP. You have to refer these principles. You are writing protocol. Again, you are doing your clinical trial. You have to refer all these principles. So which means when you are going for any important discussion, maybe see, recently I was having some discussion with FDA. So there are couple of these principles we referred again and again, as per principle of 3, as per principle of 4, as per principle 5. So just imagine if myself, I don't know, I don't remember these principles, I'm just referring my Google or some guideline, that means I won't be able to drive the discussion, you understand? So these principles you should know by heart. There is, I can share at the end link of my YouTube also. There is, I have given a tips also that how you can memorize these fast. Okay, so now learn each principle very carefully. So what was our first principle? The first principle they are saying, the clinical trial should be conducted as per ethical principle, origin of declaration Helsinki, as per GCP. So now ethics means you are putting human life first. That is your ethics. Second, right, safety and well-being of the subject is protected. This sentence, you can write down somewhere, right? Safety and well-being of subject is protected. And GCP, what is GCP? GCP is simply ethics plus quality is GCP. That's what they are saying. Your first principle is ethical standards to be followed. Now, just imagine you are writing a protocol. Now you may ask me question. You are writing a protocol. How you will apply this principle? I will give you 2 examples so then you can start thinking in this direction. Examples, practical applicability. So just imagine you are writing a protocol. Have you referred a literature where it is saying that it is in a favor of a human? That is where you are following ethical principle. Have you referred the literature carefully that to understand that this research is required? Is it really required? If it is not required, it's not ethical. Is it a favor in a society? That means ethical. So these are, they just have given you few examples. Now just imagine you are an investigator or doing a trial. You are enrolling a patient and taking a data. Are you carefully following the standards? Are you paying sufficient attention to the the human life? You are not manipulating data. That is your ethics. You are reporting the correct things. You are reporting adverse event on time. You are reporting serious adverse event on time. Just imagine you are CRC. You are taking an informed consent in a right way. You are paying attention to take the data in a CRF. That is your ethics, right? That is how you are applying ethics. Okay. Now the benefit. Another is benefit should be more than your risk. That is our principle number 2. So our trial should be initiated and continued only if their anticipated benefits are more than their risk. I will give you one example only. Although I have told you, you are always tracking AEs, SAEs. That is helping us to analyze the benefit and risk. profile, right? We have a pharmacovigilance also if drug is in the market. But in addition to this, I give you one example. Suppose you are doing a trial. There is a SAEs happened. The initial report has suggested it may be possibly linked to your treatment. What data safety monitoring board will be saying, or independent monitoring boards will be saying that at that time is stop the trial because it is indicating a risk. Because WHO also saying that people are dying because of disease and other risks. People should not die because of a drug or treatment, right? So that is how you assess the benefit and risk. Right safety and well-being of the subject is more important all the time. And it is above the interest of society and the science. Right? If you see there is a slightest risk for a human life, the investigator is responsible to stop the trial. This is the reason if you will be learning new drug rules in India, we have a formula to calculate the compensation. Now another is non-clinical information should be available. They said sufficient data should be available before you start doing the research. That means preclinical. 2 animal studies. You know, at time of COVID, once we presented to DCGI and for IND only, we have not done phase 1. We wanted to start a phase 1 trial. They rejected it during IND meeting. They said your preclinical data is not sufficient. Indeed, then we planned another study, animal study, and submitted it. But now this space is also growing. There is a lot of use of a technology for here as well. And your clinical trial, that means your protocol, should be scientifically sound. So that means your plan should be perfect. What you want to do in this trial, what key parameter you want to assess, we will learn about protocol as well. If this protocol is not strong, you won't get approval. Your research plan will get declined. Now, another important information is ethics committee should be looking out for your research. They should approve it. So before the start of a trial, during and after, ethics committee oversees. Now in India, ethics committee should be registered with Sidhu. It should be registered, right? And even DCGI is saying that if they find that ethics committee is not trained on GCP, their license will be cancelled. So now I give you one example of ethics committee, how ethics committee review the things. They just review from a patient side. Once we were doing a trial on a 1300 patient. We were taking 6 ml of blood. DCGI passed it. DCGI said no objection on this. But ethics committee, they raised a serious concern. They're saying you are collecting 6 ml of blood from each patient rather than collecting from a 1300 patient. There should be a less number of people exposed to this much of a risk because we were doing a pediatric trial. So then we made this out of 1300, we divided 150 and 1150. So they collected 6 ml blood from these many patients. For rest, only 2 ml. So the advanced testing they wanted to do, they done only these many patients, then use a stat to analyze and everything, separate story. But these type of the concerns, they come from an ethics committee. That is it in favor? Is it helping people? Is it not exposing people on undue harm? Now, rest of the GCP principle is that medical care should be given by a qualified person. Now, if it is pediatric trial, pediatrician should be there. Cardiac trial, cardiologist should be there. If it is oncology trial, oncologist should be there, right? So, when I face these audit, in fact, not only audit inspections, once DCGA came to inspect us, the first thing, do you remember what they asked? The very first, they told our team that give us the CVs and licenses of all your team. In first hour, they reviewed that only. And we were having one physician. He has done MBBS from Russia, not from India. The instant question came from them: are you registered with ICMR? He was registered, but I'm just telling you, the level of scrutiny goes to a qualification is a lot. And this is the reason when you go for any job in a pharma company, lot of people will be focusing on your degrees, on your background, on your GCP, on your experience. Each individual involved in a clinical trial, they should be qualified by education, training, experience to perform their respective duties. So even when you will be going for a job, say you are going for your first job, you are joined as a CRC, first thing will be they will be training you on your protocol and GCP. They will be writing a GCP training certificate and everything. Informed consent should be freely given. Yeah, it should be the complete power is with the patient. If they are not okay, they can say no. Right? Or not only that, during trial also they can withdraw, they can drop without saying anything. It's not a legal document for them. Mostly this is the reason you will say if 1500 patients they are starting, by the end of the trial mostly you'll say 1100 or max 1220 or something, these many only left. Many people drop during clinical trial and it's completely not. All data should be recorded, handled, stored in a way it allows reporting, interpretation, verification. So I'll tell you, explain you in an easy language. Suppose you are doing a trial. They say record our readings in a real time. In normal life, you've seen that you say, I remember, I forget to note it down. That is not possible in a clinical trial. It should be accurate. You can't say that I saw 100 and while noting down, I have noted 101. That's incorrect. This is the reason in a clinical trial, when you will be working, we enter value 2 times. Just like in your bank here, you do things in bank, you add account number, you add it twice so that if there is an error, it catches. That's why electronic systems are helping us. And it should be verified. Now, another important feature is confidentiality of the patient should be protected and privacy. Now, this field is growing exponentially. Lot of job scope, randomization, a redaction and anonymization. One, that in the patient we never use name, so there is a my name, right? They always give me some number XXX like that. No longer I will be named on any of the document. That is one way. Another way is your data, your age, your other things can also reveal your identity. So they use stat programming, anonymization, to so that it won't impact reading, research finding, but it protect participants' confidentiality. Now, investigational product should be manufactured as per good manufacturing practices. Non-negotiable. Not only that, it should be handled, stored in a right way. This is the reason when you will be working in a real clinical trial, temperature monitoring and not systems, they are installed. They automatically keep on measuring temperatures round the clock where your investigational product is stored. They continuously monitor that temperature and record in a system. And not only that, it sends you the alarm on your phone. So if you have set the temperature between 2 to 8, the moment it is 9, it will send you the alarm. Moment it is 1, it will send you the alarm. But you know, because 8 is a deviation, when I was doing my trials, we set the alarm between 4 to 6. Moment it touches 4, it will be sending alarm so that we can take an action. We won't get a deviation of 2. Moment it was touching 6, it was sending us an alarm over a phone. So these are the practical ways I'm just telling you. And now another is, so what is happening? The last aspect is the quality assurance and quality control. If you see any clinical trial, your monitoring happens. That means 100% verification of your records. Monitoring is quality control. Monitoring is a quality control of the documentation. These days, your centralized monitoring is very, very popular. Earlier, you have to go to site and personally go there and check the data. Now they're saying, suppose you have a 10 sites, all the data is coming to the central systems. Now they're comparing the data, because now electronically coming with help of a Power BI and other techniques, they're comparing which site is doing what. Now audit, at least one audit every year, sponsor organize. We will learn in the responsibility for sponsor that how why they organize audit, right? These principles are very deep. Now just giving you one more example. Suppose there is a tomorrow a case on some pharma company that quality is not met. They will instantly send the audit report that we have planned audit was done. Now it will be on the auditors, that uh, if it is missed or something. So this is also the reason they plan. The sponsor don't mess with it. Not only that, suppose now these days another trend also started. Suppose you are applying for a drug approval, NDA application. Now these regulatory bodies, MHRA, FDA is saying we will inspect you, we'll do GCP inspection to see that if you followed the standards or not, right? So these things are going really deep. These 13 principles, guys, these are non-negotiable. So in from today's class, if you wanted to pick only few things, you're saying that I don't have a time. Syphilis trial, Nazis trial, 13 GCP principle. At least pay attention to these should be there in your notes, right? So almost done from my end. Only few questions just for a fun purpose. Add your answer in chat. We will see that they are correct answers or not. Which regulation strengthen the authority of FDA? Very easy answer. If I can see the chat. Just a moment, I'm stop sharing just to see. Okay. That's the correct answer. Let me share again. So I stopped sharing the screen for a moment. So this is done. Now this question number 2, which set of regulatory standard was created because of a direct response to Nazi's physician trial? Very easy, very easy, very easy. What is happening? Yes, Nuremberg Code. Okay, cool. Yeah, I stopped. C is not correct answer. So let me share again screen. I only stopped sharing screen. Sorry for that. I hope you are able to see now. Okay, so I will review your answers at the end. I have little trouble with swiping the screen. Now here is the question number 3. National Research Act was created as a result of which unethical research study? National Research Act. Easy. Cool. What are the 3 basic ethical principles of Belmet report? The sequence is important, huh? So respect for person, justice, informed consent, blah blah blah. Now I'm tired of speaking. I spoke a lot. So okay, I believe by now you have recorded the correct answer. This is the answer. No, I can skip. No, no, why should we skip this? The Belmet report principle, respect for a person. What does this mean? Individual should be treated as an autonomous agent. I mean, autonomous is they have all the rights. Do not harm. Each person should get fair and justice. Investigator should maximize the possibility of a benefit, minimize the possibility of a harm. So it's very easy answer. So you should treat a person as an individual, that they have a full authority on their life. That is the correct answer. A. Now, how about question number 7? What was the first US law? Law, important is law, requiring researchers to obtain consent. Easy, again easy. This is the last question. Which statement of ethical principle was created by World Medical Association? We referred it a lot. Something Helsinki. I have given you answer. So sorry. World Medical Association is very important because they are is having a revision also last year. So pay a lot of attention. Now GCP is also undergone a revision, if you know. So in my tomorrow's session, yes, I will highlight what are they are covering under revised. So pay attention there. So they are all including technology. Even for an informed consent, they are saying be innovative. So we will discuss tomorrow, right? So that's all from my side. We can take up the questions now. I have to give you link for my YouTube also. If you want to refer, no force there. It's like nothing like that. If you want to refer few videos. Here it is. We will also be meeting tomorrow. If you feel, my suggestion will be after this class today, if you don't get to today time, but before tomorrow's class, do 2 things. Memorize GCP principle because we will be covering responsibilities of an investigator, sponsor, ethics committee, and monitor. Everything, almost everything, right? So for that, I will be referring again and again GCP principle. Then you will memorize at least 80 to 90% in tomorrow's class only. The only thing is prepare, give it at least 30-40 minutes before our class. Focus on what was the Declaration of Helsinki, what is GCP principle at a Nazi's trial. Pay attention to these things. Our tomorrow session will be very easy. Attendance link. Okay. Attendance link is not with me. It's with admin, right? Nancy, there is no as such a difference on a principal level. Both are same. The only thing is, in the in US, they say institutional review board. Word institute is very important. Institutional review board. In India or other countries, we are saying institutional ethics committee. That is the difference. They are working, their significance, their role, everything is same. It is the difference in me. Freely given. Say, it's very, very easy. Suppose I am there for a research. So you should not be forcing me. You shouldn't, okay, if you're participating in this trial, you will get a lot of benefit. You will get a name in a society. By any influence way, you should not influence me. It should be totally with me that you should be giving all the information. Look, this is a research. These many patients are participating. Would you like to participate? If I'm saying no, you say like, okay. If I'm saying I wanted to discuss with my doctor, you should be saying okay. You should not be saying no. You should not be asking your doctor. I can tell you this is the best for you. You should be participating in this trial like that. So that is freely given informed consent. Guys, just a 1 minute. I'm coming back. We will paste your questions here. Okay, I'm back. We can take more questions. Or we will meet tomorrow.
It seems like there are no more questions, but participants, feel free to drop your questions.
Thank you, Rahul.
Before we
Recording will be provided by, yes. Admin will provide you the recording. Yeah, no problem.
yeah. Thank you, Ms. Sarabjit Sidhu ma'am. That
My
was
pleasure.
absolutely brilliant. Your ability to connect the historical evolution of ethical principles with the modern framework of ICH guidelines is truly commendable. Thank you for enriching our understanding so profoundly. And thank you,
Thank
ma'am,
you.
for also
Thank
addressing some of our queries.
Yeah.
Wait for
Okay,
some
see you
other.
tomorrow then. See you tomorrow, right?
Okay, ma'am. Dear participants, I request you all to put on your cameras for a quick photo session. We'll wait for a minute to turn on your cameras.
I think most of the students, they have gone by now. I just think. Or we should take a picture first thing when we are doing the session tomorrow. That can also be done. Like
We
if
will make that change, definitely.
yeah, I think yeah, no one is turning on the camera except you and me. All right, I guess then
They
it
are
should be
there.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. As our second day draws to a close, we carry forward a deeper appreciation for the ethical compass of clinical research. We'll reconsider tomorrow, Sunday, July 13th at 7 p.m. for yet another crucial session with Ms. Sarabjit Sidhu ma'am again, where she'll unpack the core responsibilities within good clinical practice